and now also a very international team from the US, Pierre Ly and Cynthia Howson. I don't know if, yes. So their history is amazing because the adventures, their fantastic book, their adventures on the China wine trail, is now published in Spain, also in Spanish. So their own adventure, which is a very personal one, allowed us to understand better the real life in Chinese wine. So thank you so much, Pierre and Cynthia, to be here and seeing your book being translated in so many countries. You deserve it.
He asked us to stay. Okay.
Well, thank you for having us here again. We love the Gourmand event, and it's great to be a part of it. So we wrote this book that people thought we were a little crazy to write, which is called Adventures on the China Wine Trail. Then we got it translated, thanks to U.S. Tolosa, to Aventuras en la Ruta del Vino de China. And today we're going to share something very simple. We think that the wine world is in a lot of problems right now. If you work in wine, you know it's not easy to be in wine. And we think that there's three things that the wine world can learn from the rise of Chinese wine and the difficulties that Chinese wine has had. The first one is the overcoming of prejudice. The second one is the value of collaboration across many different groups. And the third one is how do you welcome people to wine who were not into wine at all?
Every emerging wine region has to overcome certain prejudices, has to define its brand and its terroir, its culture and its identity, and that means facing prejudice. What China faced in addition to that, as many other countries and people do, is the persistent assumption across the wine world that legitimacy and quality and valued innovation must start from European origins. And when I say that, I mean grapes, but I also mean the assumptions about producers, assumptions about consumers, a wine professional, a wine enthusiast, equipment. Throughout the wine world, there are prejudices that when China began to win its first awards, immediately there were accusations of corruption, assumptions that it wasn't possible. And so the story of Chinese wine innovation is a story of overcoming those prejudices, but it's also a freedom from the constraint of the European path, because Chinese innovation isn't tethered to what happened in European countries, and that's really fortunate because it's not possible to reproduce what happened in European countries. And so this kind of innovation is going to be particularly important now as climate change changes the world of wine.
And yeah, so one of the many reasons why this is important is because of climate change. Because with climate change, there's a lot of research right now on coming up with new grape varieties. There are regions that are going to move. There's going to be established regions that no longer do what they used to do the same way. They have great, and you know, if you're working in wine, how hard it is to sell things people don't know about. And so there's something China can teach us something about that, because in many parts of China, they have done it. They are doing it. It's not done. It's very difficult. But they are doing that. They are selling wine and an idea of wine and things that did not really exist before in the way that they are now. And the next thing that we can learn from Chinese wine in many regions is the value of collaboration.
And here again, we're particularly in a time where we've seen many wine regions that are struck by fragmented efforts and self-protection and individualism increasingly. And the story of Chinese success is not one about who came out on top and which winners beat which losers. It's a story of collaboration in each and every space of the wine world. And that doesn't mean that collaboration was always wonderful and successful, of course, but it does mean that collaboration is how success happens where it happens in the Chinese case. And that means not only between a co-opetition, which is to say competitors who are not only competitors, but who recognize the value of supporting the region as a whole. It means collaboration with different levels of government, with university, with different sectors that might relate to the wine industry, such as even transport. And the biggest one for us in many ways is tourism. China had a way of including people in wine tourism at times when it wasn't clear where the wine was going to be. And that is an innovation that struck us and that was a form of success in many ways.
And in doing that, in fact, I think a lot of Chinese wine world has been really successful. It's still difficult, okay? It's up and downs, but it's been successful in welcoming consumers to wine who were not into wine before. There's lots and thousands of year-old traditions of drinking, but there's not wine as we knew it elsewhere. And, well, they've done that. And the reason that's important to learn from what's going on there, what has been going on there, all the efforts that have been made there, is that, well, if you look at for those of you who follow the wine world, you know the consumption data in what used to be major markets like the United States or France or in Spain, it's not looking very good right now. And if you look at surveys of younger people who are students in universities right now, they don't drink much alcohol anymore, which seems very surprising to a lot of people who are older, but young people don't really go to alcohol very easily, and wine is even less. So how do you get people like this interested in wine when they're not into it? Well, now we have that problem. We have that problem in the major markets for wine, the younger groups of people who are not coming to wine the way their parents used to come to wine. So there's this new problem, but guess what? There's this country where very few people had been enjoying wine, and little by little, they have found ways, people have found ways to draw people who were not wine consumers to become wine consumers. And it's still difficult, and there's lots of up and downs, but this is a place to look at, to look up to for all the efforts they are doing, because everyone needs to pay attention to all of these things. So these are 3 lessons that we can learn from the story of Chinese wine. Thank you.